Jim here. I wanted to share something. So I did an experiment. Right, I was seeing a gradual increase in mites in my main hive, number one hive, the one that the only one I had coming out of winter. Got five now, and they're all doing healthy. But this original hive, I infected it last fall out of curiosity. And anyway, so um, I was seeing a gradual increase on a daily basis on mites. And so yesterday I saw about 65 in a 24-hour period. So I went ahead and put in some of this. I was going to pop the top and and separate the box. There's two brood boxes, and drop some of these strips down in between the frames. The second I popped that, I just barely cracked it. Bees came out and tried to sting me like immediately. I was just still trying to work getting the boxes apart, and they're already coming at me, stinging my bee suit. Yeah, it was too aggressive. So, and that top box was actually jam packed with honey, and they were in high protective mode. So what I decided to do as an experiment, I took these instead of dropping them in between the frames, I I withdrew my observational panel. And I just dropped four of them on the top. I just dropped them in and slid it back in there. And 24 hours later, I went back, just from the fumes that filled the air and them fanning, because they do the fanning 24/7 to regulate the temperature, right? And the moisture content in the hive. So there's just constant circulation. So they were taking that fumes from these strips, moha strips, what are that? Oh, manhoa strips from China, and they were constantly circulating that chemical, right? Airborne chemical in the air for the next 24 hours. And there must be several thousand of them. I've never seen this many mites ever in a drop. So all those little dots are varroa mites. That was a clean panel last night I put in there. So this was a total experiment just to see what would happen, right? I just wanted to see if it will still be effective if I just put it on my observational panel. So simple, right? Don't have to tear the hive apart. Don't have to throw those strips in there and put the poison right up against their body. And so that's what I did, and it worked great. So I threw another panel in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these strips and I'm going to tape them to the panels. So, and then every day when I remove my observational panel, what I'll do is take those off, tape and all, put them on my new observational panel, because these mites will crawl right back up in there. Maybe well, now that they're poisoned, I don't know. But the ones I've been taking out lately, they're really active. They were jumping up. I had to chase them around with tweezers on the board because they're trying to run away from me. So, yeah. And so I'll end up cleaning this board and then taping some of these strips to it, and then go put it in there every day. And then I'll do that with all my hives. First, as an experiment, I need to see how this hive does. So in a 24-hour period, I didn't see any dead bees out in the front like I did last year. A couple of years ago when I used that stuff, I followed the directions, 4 strips. I think some might have been stuck together, and it was too high concentration, and it killed most of the hive within 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes, went back to check. Something don't seem right. And most of the hive was already dead and dying at the bottom of the hive. So what I'll end up doing is I'll end up doing that with all these hives, instead of running those things through in between the frames, taking the hives apart and all that kind of stuff, smoking, and yeah, just put them on my observational panel, let them distribute the chemical, airborne chemical themselves, by the way that they manage the hive with the airflow and everything, flapping their wings and all that. And that hive looks really brilliant today. It looks really active. It must have been infested for pretty heavy, maybe for a month now, right? And over a month, I have seen it go up gradually. Like, are these going up or are they going down? Because sometimes it would get down in a 24-hour period down to less than 5. And then another time it'd be like 180. So it was like hit and miss. Maybe they were grooming each other and then they would stop, and they didn't have no consistent grooming process going on. It was hit and miss. So yeah, I think there's probably about a couple thousand mites, close to it, on that panel. So never seen that many ever. No matter what I did, I've never seen that many. So this seems to work. This seems to be pretty effective. And also, what I did is I took one of those strips and I put it in the entryway. So what they're doing is they're walking on that, right? They're walking on that strip in and out and carrying that fumigation in and out of the hive. And so it worked pretty good. It worked way better than I anticipated, right? Because I was already coming up with plan C. Plan A didn't work. So I came up with a plan B. And I already was working on a plan C, D, and F, right? Yeah, it goes all the way to Z, you know. A to Z. Yeah, I never run out of plans. And so there's always an option. And so there you go. Another way to manage those varroa mites without even dismantling the hive, without doing anything. Just pull the observational panel out. Well, if you got that design anyway. I designed all my, I designed and built all my hives with that design. So I don't know if I have the design out here or not, but yeah, so here it is. So all my hives, I came up with this 1/8 inch hardware cloth. So I'll just quickly show how this puppy works. So all you folks who want to just work at trying something different, like if you don't like what the setup that you have and the way it's working and all that kind of stuff, and you're going, I just don't like the way I have to get in there all the time and do all those kinds of things, and I wish I had something more simple. And well, here it is. Right? This is more simple. This is like really simple. This is like easy peasy. Right? So once it's done anyway. So you can see this. So the bottom, there's a gap on either end, right? Now the reason why I did that, you don't have to do that. I wanted the option with these screen boards, observational screen boards. I wanted the option to be able to raise it up when it's really hot and allow airflow to come through. So I wanted a gap in each end. But you don't have to. You can put a strip on one end and just leave a gap on the other one for the observational panel to come in and out. But this just gives me more versatility, that's all. And then there's the entryway right there. So I have 3/4 bar at the back and 3/4 gap, the width of the hive in the front. And that's a 1/8 inch hardware cloth that I have stapled, and then put the 3/4 inches, I just glued those onto that. Because they don't need to be sturdy, right? You just want them to stay in place so you can put your hive on top without the bars moving around. It's not like they're always going to be shaking around. Once you kind of get them glued in place, you don't need to nail them and all that. They don't need to be all that sturdy, right? Because they're not going anywhere. Well, unless a bear comes along and dismantles your hive, then maybe. Even then, I think the way that I built these stay in place, because I did a wood glue the whole length, and that sealed the gap, so there's no air gaps, right? The wood glue, and then I used clamps to hold it all together as it dried, so I get a nice good seal. Right between these cracks, there is no crack, just the seams, and so yeah, and then you can use any kind of paneling, right? Cardboard box strip, that fits. Cut it, put it in there, and maybe put some shellac on it, or do something to the cardboard to make it so that it's weather resistant. You can do all kinds of different things to cardboard to make it weather resistant. Even paint the doggone thing white, right? Cardboard. I just happen to have some of these hard strips that they're not hard, but I got them at Walmart. Was doing a redesigning, and they threw a bunch of these pretty tall ones. Some were like 20 feet or something. And they just threw them out in the trash can. And I was looking for pallets at the time. Well, I got more than pallets that day. And I use this for also garden bordering. Lasts forever. And what's really cool about this particular stuff, after I did the research on it, it's food safe, right? You can, yeah, you can use it for, yeah, even food. It doesn't degrade. If it does, it does it so slowly that it's irrelevant, right? I'd be more worried about breathing air in from the cars going by, right? CO2 and all that metal gases that come out of the back of gas cars. So, yeah, that's the real dangerous stuff is gas cars. Someday those will be mostly gone, right? We'll be able to breathe some more free air instead of polluted. Yeah, combustion engine cars. I don't know. That's too bad we didn't go electric from the very beginning. But you know, what's this oil stuff? Maybe we can make some money out of it. And then it took off instead of electric, right? Because electric cars were already being made at that time, 1800s, late 1800s. It's just that somebody decided they could make more money off selling oil, and then it took off, and then combustion engines took over, right? Oh well, what a different world we would live in, right? Yeah, we wouldn't have had all those polluted cities all those decades. Anyway, so you can see all those mites. It's just crazy, isn't it? All those dots, every single one of those dots that you see, that's a varroa mite. 24-hour drop. I was pulling that out. What the heck happened? A bunch of turds. I never imagined that there would be that many thousands of varroa mites just from that one process of just putting those strips in there, right? So what I recommend is just, so what I'm going to be doing is taking these strips and I'm going to tape them. I'll probably just do 2 because I don't want to, I think it's more important to be safe, right? I think 2 strips, just taping 2 strips is enough of fumigation. And we can just leave them in there for as long as we want, right? And then periodically change the walking strip in the front, probably about every 3 or 4 days on that one. So I'll be cutting those in half, so they're only the width of the entryway, and I'll I'll be putting those on little wooden strips, something like this. I'll be like taping them to little something like this so they stay firm, right? And the bees will just walk right over this. This was gonna go into the fireplace, but now it's not. It's gonna be, the platform where the bees are gonna walk over that tape, over that. Mono. I guess it's a form of oxalic acid strips. It's oxalic acid strips is what I think that they're calling it. Yeah. So, it works really good. All right. Well, please subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, leave a comment. And, isn't that crazy? It works. So that's where experiments comes in. If we just follow the bouncing ball on everything all the time, that's not good. I've always tried to avoid that. I look at something to do an assessment, right? I say, yeah, someone said that. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm gonna see I'm gonna explore a little bit, right? Explore my perception of my own reality of what I'm observing and what I've heard so far and what I know so far, and I'm gonna see if there's another way, if it's easier or cheaper or free, right? There you go. All right. Good day.